The door.
We can close it. We can
The
lock it.
door.
And you hold the key.
I hold it, yes. My cousin asked me at the end.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
And so she says, well, your cousin apologizes. And do you accept your cousin's apology?
I knew that was coming.
And I said, well, I accept the words. Yeah. I accept the words. I accept the apology.
Mm-hmm.
I said, do you think you want to give you?
You even got to say it right.
You think you want to give your cousin a hug? I said no.
In my saying what I'm saying, he gave you an apology, but protected himself at the same time. And I can't say understandably. He protected himself. But I'm going to give him credit in acknowledging what he did was wrong. And finally stepping up to let you close the door and hold your own key now.
Yes. Yeah.
Because you're in the door. Your 5-year-old still standing in the door. And you're the adult that wants to close it and lock it, and you can't because he's still holding that key. He gave you the key now.
Wow. Yes. Profound.
And I'm going to say this. Even bigger than that, what he did, so many will never do. So that's growth on him too.
Yeah.
He was 15. Yeah. He was 15. And his 15-year-old self, I'm only going to speak of 15 because we know it happened, right? Everything else after that is alleged. Because although you know your story, you may have heard of other stories. That's not your story to tell.
Right, of course.
But you used your voice to make it aware and known. This happened to me. I'm not wavering from it. This is what happened. And at this stage in the game, to say, yes, I'm sorry, is a big thing.
It was big. It was big. But what's coming up here is so, as I was saying, I think before, I had always been experiencing this as my 5-year-old self. And it affects you in ways that you don't even realize. When you're confronted with things that you don't desire to participate in, when you find yourself in situations that you'd rather not be in, when someone approaches you and you really don't want the attention, when someone, it just kept happening to me.
You didn't know.
I kept finding myself where I didn't want to be. And I kept okay.
Push through the pain, okay? And I say push through the pain because when we're in situations, and so I'm hearing you, and I'm hearing you in these situations, and I heard you mention it kept happening in college, in your adult life. And one of the things I want to share, because through every tragedy, you like how you said you became a flight attendant and you just want them to see you, right? And then you took us through that the whole story. You have your key now. And in pushing through the pain, I have to, because I definitely want them to hear this. So another layer is what I'll put. Another layer, another measure of your strength, of who you are. One of the things I've seen, witnessed, that key in your hand is that control and that organizing and that directing of a program that you run. Because a lot of times people who have been in dark places and went through things, the only way you get through is a creative side. You got to find a hunger of something, because if you sit there in your Michaels and you sit there in your stripper, bathroom Tyler, and you sit there in, you're supposed to be upstairs while you following me downstairs, and that's all you sit in, you don't make it out. You've got to push through the pain. So one of the things I know in your creativity and your need to help other people came about how you helped give back to the less fortunate, to the homeless. And it was just a gesture of a call. Hey, I know your husband DJs. Do you think he'd be able? Do you know somebody who cuts hair? Send me the flyer, Bridgette. And so when I said, okay, I'm thinking this.
Right.
And then, what's your height? I'm gonna tell you why. What's your height?
5'0" nothing.
Okay. 5'0" nothing, Bridgette. Right? So you heard the story. So I get the call. I'm doing a little something. That's how she likens it. I'm doing a little something where we're giving back, and if we could have volunteers, anybody that cuts hair and makeup, and any service provider that wants to volunteer. So I said, okay, my husband will DJ. I'll come in any capacity that I can help. We'll be there. Count us in. I'm thinking, right? Rainy day. We show up and we're unloading, and I see 5'0" nothing Bridgette with a clipboard. I'm like, what is she doing? I was like, hi, we're here trying to do the smooches. Yeah, So listen, this is where I need you. I need you to go over there. Yeah, you did. Yeah, I need you to go over here. Oh, you're here, great. So go ahead and set up. The other DJ is gonna be there. Yeah. Listen, girl, I'm not holding your hand, walking you through. This is not a social visit. We've got things to do, and we're gonna get it done. That's what I was met with. 5'0" nothing. The strength. This is how you push through the pain. You take your key and you get a clipboard, right? And you start telling people. So now we go in this gymnasium.
It was a rec center.
And it was stations of people where Bridgette is saying, so where should we just put them where you need them? I'm like, Bridgette, where do you want? Put them where you need them. I'm like, this is not the flight attendant on the plane that's all asleep. I'm like, oh, the director is rough. So, oh my goodness. I was like, I don't multitask in my head very well. I'm sorry. No, but the message I received was, we are here to help and serve, and we are not here to socialize. So I quickly took my lead from my director with the key. And when I tell you, there were stations of people helping do free haircuts. There were stations of women giving braids and hair for women. There was dancing. There were food stations. There were shower stations. There were backpacks.
Well, don't forget the best part, the massages.
The massages.
Yes.
And so, it wasn't a social visit, so I couldn't get one. I really wanted to jump in and get a massage, but the director was in the building, so I dare not. But it was really a good cause. They had buses coming in, and Bridgette's letting us know, this bus we need some of you to get on the bus and go down, because they're picking them up from Newark Penn Station, and there's another bus going to this place, and when they come, I want you to give them the backpacks, and then that's their backpacks. And then there was people donated clothes, so there was lines of shoes and clothes, and it was just really, and services for testing and religious counseling. It was so well orchestrated. It was definitely not this, and 5'0" nothing, as she said, was a giant, an absolute giant with a clipboard and a key.
I absolutely did not do that myself, but thank you very much.
And please say the other organization, because I don't remember their name, because I was looking at the director.
Just a Bit of Heaven.
Just a Bit of Heaven.
Yes, Andrea Sarosa. And Tender Loving Totes. That's
yes.
Tender Loving Totes. That's myself and my partner, Erica Florencio.
And we will put the link up.
Yeah.
For you to follow. Mm-hmm. But tell us a little bit of how you got involved with that. How did you go from 5-year-old Bridgette, adult Bridgette, to it's my time, I've got my key, I'm giving back?
I have to tell you, we started the organization 5 years ago. Mm-hmm. Actually, 5 years ago, right about now.
Mm-hmm.
Erica had always had a love of and an affinity and a concern for people who were on hard times and facing homelessness, even as a child. And so we attended church together, and she said a couple of times that she wanted to put together bags, tote bags. I mean, she had seen blessing bags, you know, little small bags, and she wanted to take the blessing bag and make it bigger and larger. And I said to her, I says, well, I'll help you, but I want to do more than just help. She wanted to pour like toiletries and all this love and just pour and just hand out love in the community. And I'm like, I'm in, you know. So I said, I don't just want to help. I would like to partner with you. Do you want to partner? Do you want some help with this organization? She said, sure. And so the following month, she called it Tender Loving Totes. And the following month, we organized, got everyone together, and we handed out our first totes in December, 5 years ago. And it was amazing. It was. And we would go to train stations and bus stations, and we would go to buildings that we knew that to be abandoned, or any place that we knew people took shelter. We would go to them where they were. We would keep the totes in our cars, and when someone is asking for change, we'd give them this tote filled with all the things that they could need, but thoughtful things. Chapstick,
the things that you wouldn't think.
Like, can you imagine if your lips were chapped and dry, and all you had was really? Can you imagine?
Making
my lips would fall off if I didn't have chapstick. You know, so things like that, and lotions and socks, and not the little ankle socks that fall and slip inside the shoe that annoy. Because if it's going to be my only pair of socks, should it be an annoying pair?
No, right?
No.
Right?
Okay. So stuff like that.
I like that.
Yeah, and so, but so we've been doing it for 5 years, and then Andrea Sorosa, Just a Bit of Heaven, she mentioned that she wanted to just have an event where everyone will be able to come in and take a shower and get a meal. Andrea, every other week, faithfully serves food and offers clothing at the same location, and everyone knows, and they come there and they get delicious food and they get to pick their clothing. And so we began partnering with Andrea. And then when she said that she wanted to have an event where everyone could come take a shower and just have a day to just be pampered and taken care of, we were like, let's do it.
Yeah.
And the answer
was beautiful.
And the answer was, you can't do that. Nobody's going to let you do that. Showers, really? Oh, you can't do that in 6 weeks. It's not possible. Well, at first they were saying it's not possible. So when we actually got a venue that would allow us to use the showers, then it was, oh, you've only got 6 weeks. It's not possible. But From Us to You event happened in December. It was a gift to the community, and we bussed them in, and they had a great day. They came in, the music was on, we were partying, and it was just a day for them to just take a nice hot shower.
I think one of the best things for me was watching them come in, and just like the look on their face, like, and when I came in and saw Frankie and Ella and Lenore and Eric.
Yes.
And like it just
friends from college there.
Our airline family for me.
Yes.
Because I'm just like, okay, the DJ's my husband. He's gonna be DJing. I don't know anyone. And now what do I do? And then to just see like we would like literally dancing and having a good time and service.
People who are often forgotten and don't get the benefit of physical touch.
Right.
A massage,
we
had 3 chairs and a table. And it's just, for people who just feel forgotten, that people just step over them and act like they don't exist. And this day was just for them. And we were dancing with them. Yes. It was great, wasn't it?
I loved when they finished. It was getting late. This is the one thing. It was getting late, and it had to wrap up. And this one young guy was like, I just need a haircut. And I'm like, I'm not doing the haircut. But I was like, he's getting a haircut. Just like, no, we got to. I was like, no, he's going to get a haircut.
Take charge, flight attendant.
But to see his face, like, they're, like you said, they're forgotten. And when they come in, you do. We do. We don't mean to, but you look at them like it's a homeless person. And sometimes you look past them and don't see them. But when they sat in that chair and someone's touching them, and the haircut, and this guy was young. This guy might have been 18 or 19, and he was homeless. And
it happens more than you think, too.
Yeah, but when I saw his haircut, I saw him. And I'm looking at him like, that's someone's child.
Right.
And I don't know how he arrived, and I started talking.
Good.
Like having conversation.
Yes.
He's like, I don't know, don't worry about it. I was like, no, that's what you're here for.
Right.
I was like, oh, look at your eyes. Oh, you gonna think you're cute, right? And it was like
you were there.
Boyfriend and girlfriend. I was like, well, if he's getting a haircut, you know you better go get your hair done, because then he's going to be walking out of here thinking he's cute, and then you go get your hair done. Don't let him leave here looking good, and then she's like, I should. I was like, I
love hearing these stories. I love it. I was so busy that day, I didn't get the stories.
It was nice, and I have to say, Ella and Lenore danced. This one guy, he was like, I'm going to break it down. I was like, I started to dance and I was getting winded. I was like, y'all not tired yet? Them girls was going.
Excuse me, how is it that you ended up tired? Because I know Carnival Queen.
That's a different beat. That's the beat that's in my soul. That's a different beat. That's a beast of a song. But it just made it worth it for whatever services or finances that were donated. And it's, again, you just don't know. Here you are helping people in their situation, and to look at you, you just never know your story. You never know what someone has been through and continues to go through, right? So in about to wrap up, I want to ask you, message of hope, message of someone who's been through, going through, and feeling stuck. They don't have their predator to address. They don't have a family to support. They didn't get that apology, and they're still stuck in that spot of when it happened. Give a message of hope.
Wow. I have to say that being someone who came from a place of surviving through this with support, I cannot imagine how I would have handled things and how things would have affected me without any semblance of support. And I may have reacted by running away or just allowing things to happen. And you may have reacted by just exerting your power by saying, I choose, and going in a different route. But just know that whether you experienced fight or flight, or you became flirty, or you participated in things that you look back upon and can't quite explain to yourself, just know that arrested development, from whatever age that is, when you stop developing, whatever time that you stopped, whether it was 5 years old or 6 or 10, 12, 15, whatever part that you decided that the best way for me to handle this is to use the kill switch to the feelings, emotions, to facing it, to handling it, you can actually control that switch and turn it back on and begin to continue developing. You can do that. And I'll tell you that my full power came when I realized that that 5-year-old Bridgette was actually in the driver's seat of my life. That 5-year-old Bridgette was making decisions and handling things and responding to adult situations. And 5-year-old Bridgette was in the driver's seat. And you can now decide that if that's not what I want, it's not where I want to be, This is not where my development stops. You can just choose that now, present day, Bridgette can now take the wheel. You know, you may not have the opportunity to face your person and confront them. You can confront yourself and how you've handled this and what you're going to do now to handle it differently. You know, maybe handling it differently for you is seeking counseling. Maybe handling it for you is letting go of the anger that you've turned inward and haven't voiced. Maybe handling it for you can be any number of things, but what I am saying is that when 40-year-old Bridgette was in control, that's when things began to change. That's when I stopped being in situations that I didn't want to be in. That's when I stopped protecting myself by avoiding everything. And that's when I was able to, instead of throwing myself so heavily into helping other people, into being everyone else's savior, and doing the right thing in the right time, in the right situation, and saying the right thing, and trying to wear the right thing, and dress the right part. And I threw myself into perfecting everything outwardly and helping and being the solution for everyone else. You can throw yourself into being your own solution. And 40-year-old Bridgette became the solution, started to become the solution to her own problems, concerns, issues. I tell you, as a person who spent from the age of 17 to 35, nearly completely, just my whole life just engulfed in depression, heavily dependent on medication in order to make it through the day. I didn't develop certain coping skills. The things you're supposed to learn, you know, when things get stressful, you have too much to do, you have too many deadlines. You develop those skills in college, and you know, when you get your first real job, you know, and you develop those skills. I didn't develop those skills because when things got stressful, I rolled over and cried. I would cry. This is too much, I don't feel like it. I would lay down and I would cry. And I did that until I was 35 years old. And so when I was freed from depression, I was healed from depression, and thank God for there being a healing where there is no cure. So with me being healed from depression, I still needed to be reinvented. I challenge you to reinvent yourself, because I was a person who didn't know how to cope with things. I didn't know how to push through. I didn't know how to continue. I didn't know how to fight for anything that I wanted because I couldn't, my emotions were so, that I couldn't even feel strong. I couldn't even muster up enough to feel strongly enough about something to care to go after it. And when I no longer had depression, I would muster up the strength to care about other people's causes. I'd muster up the strength to complete other people's tasks. And I'd muster up the strength to be the voice for some other victim, survivor, traumatized person. But I challenge you to muster up that strength and that care, that power within for yourself. And once I started to do that, that's when everything began to change. And I'm still a work in progress. I'm still teaching myself these things. But it could never have happened without me snatching the wheel away from 5-year-old Bridgette. And I did it with help. But even alone, even solely, even if you just have yourself and your God, your higher being, if you just have yourself and one friend, one confidant, if you just have yourself and one counselor, if you just have yourself,
If that's enough.
you can muster up enough strength to snatch that wheel away from the traumatized little young person and decide it's time for the adults to take over. And I wish you all the best and all the strength in doing so, because it can be done.
I thank you for joining me. I thank you for being open and sharing your story. I know that wasn't easy because you had to relive it. But know, in speaking your truth and your story, someone will hear it, someone will be moved by it, and possibly someone will be saved by it. Use your voice. You are not alone. Get help wherever you can, however you can, and keep using your voice to share your story until someone sees you. Thank you for continuing to support and stand by me through this journey. I appreciate and love you. Thanks again, Bridgette.
Yay.